Yeah, my talk is a little different approaches to the municipal digital PR magazines. It's nowadays very rapidly changing to the future. The former is printed and distributed to each of the home from the city government or the municipality government, local government has been done. It's a very important issue in Japan. In World War II, after World War II, in Japan, the government decided to more democratic ways to each of the cities and towns, local government published to the PR magazines to the citizens, resident peoples, is very important new local materials in Japan. This feature is rapidly changing nowadays. The former at the start after World War II, just after World War II, starting to this PR magazine to distribute to the paper-based. The public library, each of the cities public library archiving this materials, printed materials. But nowadays, about 20 years ago, internet developed in Japan, in the world. At the time, two very big changes has been happening. The PR magazines, in the PDF and other text data uploaded each of the municipal government homepages. And all of the people in Japan can be, in the world, people can be see that data format of the PR magazine from everywhere. It's a very big changes. But there are many issues that nowadays in Japan, public library not so much concerned to how to archiving of the digital format of the PR magazines. Very few public libraries nowadays done such kind of the digital archiving, data collections, but most of the public libraries didn't do such archiving ways. I will introduce this time. Okay. I'll show this one. This is my town, my towns in Tokyo's the printed PR magazine. For example, this one. The local material features are very rapidly changing now. But now not only this PR magazines, many of the local materials published by the local government is changing to the digital forms. It's not decided who is archiving this one. This is a PDF version of the PR magazine in my towns. This is uploading on the local government homepages on the PDF forms. And nowadays, I will introduce more, so many types of the formats uploading on the homepages. Most of the local government, the delete of the PR magazine's PDF version 2 or 3 years because the web servers, the capacity is limited. So much document there are. Most of the local government deciding 2 or 3 years delete of this PDF version of the PR magazine from their home pages. It's a very big concern. It's a very big problem nowadays. The student and the people, resident people cannot search to the past days, the PR magazines. The PR magazine, the PR department of the local government, all of the management. Now I asked to them that they say that you go to the public library, the archiving is a printed format. But if I hope to see the distance place of the towns, PR magazines, not so easy to get that information. It's a very big concern and a very, very big problem nowadays in Japan. This is in Japan, say to Diet Library, the National Library. National Library is deciding to the government law. The name is a WARP. WARP is a National Diet Library Web Archiving Project. They are archiving all of the web page, home pages to archiving the public sectors and the universities and the nowadays archiving. But there are very big problems there. They are archiving, but some of the, I will show more details, some of the cities, towns, they're deciding to not open to the past data. It depends on each of the city and the government deciding to this data open or not. It depends on the law. Can be possible to deciding to the copyright is having to the each of the cities and towns. Nowadays, many of the we are using to the iPhone, smartphones, and others. The local city government, adapting to such of the new trend that can be possible to hear magazines that can be seen the smartphones nowadays. This is a map of the Japan. In Japan, totally 1,788 cities and towns there. Locating the total number of the local government is 1,788. The prefecture is a larger scale. 47 is a large area dividing at first. Inside of the city as a town, there are. This is my towns, the fire festivals that can be seen on the smartphones. Nowadays, this is a PR magazine. The July and August issues. July 8 issues. Okay. And also this is mentioned to lower part. My co-host name in Japanese, it's a cross-searching can be possible to many cities and towns. PR magazine at once can be searching. It's a private sectors, semi-private sectors services. This is a digitization of the Municipal PR magazine from the first issue. Just after World War II, about 70 years ago, the first issue published by the paper and digitized to the open to public, to the city government. this done to not public library. The city government has been done. PR section, PR department done such kind of this is very rare case in Japan. Very few city and town from the first issue to all of the PR magazine data is and open to public. It's very few cases nowadays. And also this is a cities archiving the digitizing to first issue, same type. This is a all over flowchart of the PR magazine, the how to flow to the open to the public. The upper part is a printed version, the old fashions, the historical ways. And this is archiving, printed version is archiving to the public library, but in the new way on the web, published PR magazine in data format is not deciding nowadays who is archiving. Many of the city government deciding to 2 or 3 years and deleting to the PR magazine department people, I asked that not so much concern to the archiving. Just 2 or 3 years to open to public, it's very important, but the old one is not so much. Its concern is very different with the PR magazine department and the libraries. The National Data Library now the archiving, automatically archiving all of the data from the home pages. It's very important new features. But there are problems. I am talking with the people of the National Data Libraries, and this is also explained to the way. The two types is the left side. Left side is the example of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and right side is Osaka Prefecture government. The right side can be see the PR magazines, but in the case of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government cannot see on the webs because the Tokyo Metropolitan Government don't want to open to the public with the PR magazine to the past the National Data Library, the archiving that. This is I have surveyed to the all of the in Japan. Totally shown this one, 290 cities and prefectures don't open to the public. The 16% of the total is a relatively high percent of the cities and the prefectures don't open to the public of the past PR magazines. It's a very big issue, especially to the prefecture, the larger areas, local government is almost about half of the prefecture local government don't open to the public. It's a very big issue. How to do solving that problems. This is so detailed data. Would you put it to the papers? Now, more details. Each of the prefectures, each of the cities. I have surveyed to the data from the National Data Libraries. Exactly surveyed. Some of the prefectures, very high cities and towns, don't open to the public. It's a relatively higher. It's a southern part of the relatively not so much open to the public. It's depend on the areas. Okay, I have talked to the nowadays very important issues. Now discuss with the National Library peoples how to solving these problems. Now, this feature is I have surveyed to in Japan the public library. Very few public library has been digitized from the first issue. In Tokyo, only one public library such kind of the digitized of the PR magazine and open to the public. But so many public libraries don't do that. It's a very big problem. In the future, how to concern to the public library in the data materials. In Japan now, so much discussing, starting to the public library sectors, how to archiving to the local government material, data is local government materials. It's in the future, very big issues. Okay. I have talked again to in the printed materials, public library collecting, archiving nowadays. It's a very long history there. But many people are not so much concerned to the data format, how to archiving, who is archiving. It's a very big issue nowadays. One of the examples, there are the one prefecture government deciding to, archiving of the local material, data local materials. It's the same as the WARP systems. All of the PDF format is open to the public. It's now trial has been starting to one prefecture government. It's a very much discussed with involving the public library sectors. It's a very early stages nowadays. This case is very unique in Japan, where the other countries, same as issues there are. It's my very big concern too. If discuss with these issues in these tables, it's very lucky for me. Thank you so much.
Great. So our next speakers today will be Jingzhu and Tongrui Zhang. We'll talk about cultural crowdsourcing. That's what the crowdfunding is.
Yes, this one. It's okay.
Okay, and then we'll just make their go, please. Okay, so it's 25 minutes, 10 minutes, yeah. Good morning. So this is our title. We'll talk about something new in China.
in recent 10 years. Under the implementation of China's cultural digitalization strategy, China has established hundreds of cloud platforms, digital platforms for cultural integration to integrate resources, data from the public cultural institutions, libraries, archives, art galleries, museums, much like DPLA and European, I think. This is a model. The red part is a model of this platform. In fact, we have a national one, and we have hundreds of provincial and city level ones. So this platform, this kind of platforms will integrate literature collection, opera, this and special collections, these resources into the platforms. So this is a page of the national one, the web page of the national one. So I think it's from my observation, a little difference from DPLA and European is this kind of platform, they include many activities, cultural activities, traditional dance, calligraphy, handwriting, carving, this kind of traditional activities and modern cultural activities on these kind of platforms. And it also provides many training courses, and almost all of them are free because they are sponsored by governments. They're free of charge to all of the people. So our title is on this platform, on this kind of platforms, we have a new model to engage people to traditional history through the cultural crowdfunding. So this is a new model, new way, different from these traditional activities. They may ask people to pay some amount of money, to participate one specific activity. So the second part, I will let my PhD student Tongrui Zhang will present the little one. Okay.
So thanks for Professor Wei's introduction. And now we would like to give you a very specific definition of what is public cultural crowdfunding. It is proposed by a very known scholar in China. That is, the public cultural crowdfunding is an innovative supply mode of public cultural services that can gather the government, enterprises, organizations, as well as the public through cloud-based platforms to complete the financing of the public cultural products as well as services. On the right side, you can see the procedures of the public cultural crowdfunding. That is, it is the organizer's responsibility to come up with an activity crowdfunding plan and to release the relevant information online on the cultural cloud platform we have mentioned about. But the public libraries, especially in Shanghai, should be responsible for the supervision of the plan and the whole procedure. Then it is the public choice to decide to participate in these activities or not. And if the criteria have been met, that means at least some people have donated for this kind of activity, the organizer should send invitations to participants, and these participants can participate in these activities while others cannot. Or or if the criteria hasn't been met, unfortunately, the money will be refunded and the project will end. So, as Professor Wei has mentioned, it is a kind of innovation made by the Chinese public institutions, especially the libraries. That is, people must pay certain fees before participation in this kind of special activities. However, there are always the government subsidies, so the prices of these activities are lower than the market. So, as a new phenomena, we want to understand or explain two questions. That is, what are the public cultural funding key characters? In specific, we have understand the three questions. That is the activity frequency on a monthly basis and on a yearly basis, and about the themes as well as the initiators. The second one is we want to know what impacts public's intention to participate in this kind of new activities. We have chosen a specific example, that is the cultural platform built by Jiading District in Shanghai. It is built in 2014 for cultural resources exhibitions as well as the activity announcement. Since its operation, public cultural institutions, including the library, the museum, the gallery, have all begun to release cultural activity information and provide ticket booking links through the platform. Most importantly, a special column was designed for public cultural crowdfunding in 2017, when Jiading public cultural institutions, especially the libraries, became the first in the country to organize and manage and also supervise the public cultural crowdfunding activities, as well as release the activity details on these platforms. As we can see, on the right side is activity details. There are many things for us to look. That is, for example, the activity title, the crowdfunding project duration, and the activity duration. Who is responsible for the activity and their telephone number and their address. As we can see, the address is in the public libraries. So the public libraries here is responsible for providing the places or the spaces to organize, to hold public cultural activities. Here we can see it is the success criteria on the minimum participant number. If the number has been met, okay, the activity will be held, or otherwise, unfortunately, it will be cancelled and the money will be refunded. As there are limited spaces in the public libraries, museums, etc., so there are always the maximum participant limited. As we can see in this activity, there are up to 20 participants. In this case, if there have been 20 participants and the reservation, the donation for this activity will be stopped. Here is about the activity introduction on the details. It talks about how this activity is organized, what it's for, etc., and its potential participants. On the right side, it's about the initiator. It is a special column to introduce the initiator. Most of them are from the cultural and historical associations. And this is the money you should pay for the cultural crowdfunding activities. Okay, as we mentioned above, there are many fruitful information that can be analyzed. So we use the data from this platform and collect the data with a data collector on October the 15th this year. And finally, there were 601 pieces of cultural crowdfunding information obtained. What are the features of these cultural crowdfunding activities? The first one is about I have mentioned above. It's about the activity frequency. We have analyzed the frequency on a year basis and as well as a monthly basis. As we can see, since the establishment of the cultural crowdfunding activities in 2017, the number of these activities have witnessed a continued growth for 3 years. But due to the health emergencies, the cultural crowdfunding activities have witnessed a cliff decline in 2020 and remained at the average frequency of 6 activities per month in 2011 and 2022. In 2023, however, this year, the number has increased again and topped more than 20 activities monthly, which means that there are about 5 activities at least in a week. On a monthly basis, there are also significant differences between the average number of public cultural crowdfunding activities each month. As we can see, most of the activities are held in July, which is during the students' vacation of Chinese students, followed by the November and the March. However, there are fewest activities in the February. It is the period when there are Lunar Chinese New Year's and people will go back home from Shanghai. So there are not enough people maybe to participate into this kind of activities. Although a small proportion of public cultural crowdfunding activities were held in January, which is in winter, it's very cold, the proportion of successful activities held that month was the highest at about 95%. And the proportion of successful activities in November ranked second, over 90%. In comparison, less than 80% of the activities were successfully held in April, July, and August. A little bit nervous, right? So the next thing we want to analyze is about the theme, the form of these activities. What are the differences between the traditional Chinese cultural activities and the crowd-funded activities? We have constructed a word cloud for the activity details of the 601 activities, as you can see on the figure. Similar to traditional cultural activities, most of these activities are classes, training courses, or parent-child activities, which is a very significant part of the public library in China. And the remaining participants of these activities are, as we know, the child and the children and their parents. Besides, DIY, always say do-it-yourself activities also compensate for a high proportion of public cultural crowdfundings in this district. In these activities, the participant can learn traditional and modern Chinese culture and local history through making fans, ceramics, and other Chinese historical and cultural products, while improving their cultural literacy and sense of identity in the prolonged Chinese local history. Regarding the activity themes, most public cultural crowdfunding activities are about painting and dancing, especially the Chinese painting and the folk dance of China, followed by traditional Chinese calligraphy, ceramic art, musical instrument, and performance. Equal attention has been paid to the traditional Chinese cultural items and the international items such as social dance, guitar, and the violin. Through these interesting and meaningful activities, participants can experience the Chinese as well as the local cultural essence and the local history to improve their cultural literacy while establishing an inclusive and multicultural region. So the activities are so meaningful. Who will initiate such an activity? Who will organize an activity? We also have constructed a word cloud for the activity initiators, as you can see on the slide. Most initiators are teachers from universities, colleges, and academics. Also, there are a great number of professionals or members in cultural, art, and historical associations in the community, especially the Jiading district. Many of them are of high reputation and have won many professional awards or prizes in their expertise field, such as the calligraphy, performance, painting, and vocal music we have mentioned above. They have rich experience in communicating with children or organizing parent-child activities, which is the most popular section of public cultural activities in China nowadays. More importantly, only few cultural crowdfunding activities are initiated or organized jointly by multiple people or professional associations. It is only a single person that is responsible for initiating such kind of activity. So, we want to analyze what will impact the public's participating intention to this kind of activity to help make suggestions for our future development. We have conducted a very specific literature review and find 7 potential impact factors. They are the crowd-funded activity duration, the success criteria on the minimum participant number, the maximum number, the crowdfunding price, the web browsing times, and the number of likes, which means people save the link and use for the future visit, and the number of user comments. We have conducted a Spearman correlation analysis. Here is the result. As we can see, they are all significantly correlated with each other. And the regression analysis is also conducted. As we can see, the first 4 impact factors we have hypothesized are found to be impacted public participation intention, where the latter 3 is not significant. The impact of the latter 3 is not significant. We suppose that the platform is still at their primary stage of development, and many people don't know this platform, so it needs further propagation. Okay. We have some takeaway suggestions for the public libraries and the initiators who want to organize such kind of public cultural activities, not only in China, but also in the countries around the world. That is, we have found an increase in public cultural crowdfunding activity duration will positively impact the annual participant number of these activities. So this is inconsistent with our previous research that the public cultural activity duration, the public prefers activities that are long-term and held continuously. We step further to compare different types of activities. I find that almost all long-term activities are continuous training courses, where participants can learn specific useful skills, such as ethnic dance and Chinese calligraphy. In this case, public cultural crowdfunding initiators and as well as public libraries should organize more long-term and skill training activities and invite field experts to attract more stable participants. Besides, we also find that the increase in the success criteria on the minimum participant number and the maximum participant number can positively impact the actual participant number of cultural crowdfunding activities. We have once again proved that the public prefers to participate in challenging tasks in which they see the value of their efforts as a contribution becomes crucial to the final result if the activity can be held. We also compare different types of activities and find that activities with highest success criteria are always the vocal and dance training courses for the general public, not only for the children. In this case, we think that the public cultural institutions and the initiators could organize more general training programs, reasonably expand the requirement for the success criteria to stimulate the public's willingness and enthusiasm for participation. Another one is interesting that crowdfunding prices is significantly negatively impact the actual participant number. We have constructed a small-scale interview and found that most Chinese people believe that free of charge should be the main features of the public cultural services in China. Also, they're just used to this kind of form, and they have many other choices if they don't choose to participate in these cultural crowdfunding activities. For example, they can do the professional schools to take part in those training courses. Okay, that's all. And we have to conclude that in this case, We think the public cultural crowdfunding initiators and the government should highlight the concept of public cultural crowdfunding and set more reasonable prices, as the government subsidies is very important in this procedure to guarantee the local rights of the general public to enjoy the public cultural services. That's all, and thank you.
Thank you very much. So our next speakers today, we have Elvira, Basibas, Lapuz, Eunice, and Yutuc, maybe Gideon, Nallonar, Castro, who will be speaking about how the marketing of the Filipiniana Collection. Thank you.
Which one?
The second one.
Second one.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. So she'll be going.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Right. So good morning to each and every one of you. We're glad to be here. Also on behalf of my colleagues, Mr. Lapuz and Eunice Chua, we're very, very delighted to be here in Leuven, in Belgium, as we're going to present or at least highlight what we're doing at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, which is the flagship campus of the UP system. So before we proceed, I'd like to ask who have been here to the Philippines. Can I have a raise of hands? Okay. All right.
Anyone?
And any other participant have been to the Philippines? All right. So I see you have 2 hands. So as the title suggests, this is about marketing. So hopefully we'll be able to market not only the collection and services of the University Library of the University of the Philippines,
But also the country.
but also the entire country as well. We have 7,107 islands. I hope that one of them will be your island of choice. But anyways, moving on. I think we could now proceed with our next
A
slide.
very marketing librarian here.
Yes. Okay.
F5. Okay.
Okay. All right. So first, let's have a brief history of what the University of the Philippines, or how it came to be. Obviously, it was established in 1908 because of or at least during the American colonial period at the end of the 19th century. So we've been incorporated to the United States of America during that time, and also with the approval of the then Governor General in the Philippines. So it was enacted as a university of higher education and also to accommodate Filipinos during that time. Okay, so for the most part, the faculty members at the time were American educators. So they introduced the American public education system to our country, and of course, some of the Filipinos who have the opportunity to study abroad here in Europe, such as prominent Filipinos who have been pioneers in each respective field and discipline in the Philippines. So, as mentioned here, currently the University of the Philippines system has 8 constituent universities. All of them are located strategically around the archipelago, and also we have 1 autonomous college. Okay. All right, so this is our university library. It's commonly known as the Gonzales Hall. It's located in Quezon City in the Philippines, in Metro Manila. And as mentioned, we're mandated to be the Information Resource Center of Excellence in the social, natural, and applied sciences. So we're the leading university in the Philippines. So all of our programs are actually part of a center of excellence So it's very, very good opportunity to study with this kind of status in the Philippines. So moving on. Okay, so one of the highlights of this presentation is actually the Filipiniana book section. So this is actually a section which specializes in collecting, preserving, and providing access to resources about the Philippines. So later on, we will be able to define what is a Filipiniana. Okay, so there you go. So moving on. So this is actually Dr. Isagani Medina. He is a prominent historian, writer, as well as a librarian during the 1960s and 70s. And after having studied abroad and also in specializing in special collections throughout Europe, he studied, I think, Germany as well. Is also a graduate of Michigan, University of Michigan. And then he defined how important it is to keep Filipiniana material. So basically, what he stated here is a definition of what is Filipiniana. And simply speaking, it is any material about the Philippines. So if you manage to publish an article or maybe a book about the Philippines, it is immediately considered as Filipiniana if we are to base it with Dr. Medina's definition. So language printed or at least written in the Philippine language or not, and whether it is written by a foreigner or a Filipino. Okay, so moving on. Okay, going back to our marketing topic, which is about providing a clear strategy on how to market Filipiniana materials for the entire Philippines, for regardless if it's a library, an archive, or a museum. Me and my co-authors actually analyzed how our cultural agencies market their respective collections, and most of the part Filipiniana. So as you can see here, we have the National Library of the Philippines. So these are some of the primary documents that they show, which is about during the time it was called the Philippine Insurgent Records, but now we call it our Philippine Revolutionary Records. So these are the records that were actually taken by U.S. forces during the Philippine-American War. But eventually in the 1960s, they were repatriated back to the Philippines. So as you see, that is those are the documents showing how the first republic in Asia was formed, which is the Malolos Republic in the Philippines. So as you can see here, the official logo of the National Library as well. So that will play an important part in how we'll be able to market Filipiniana collections
In UP.
in UP as well. So next, another cultural agency which is very important. This is the National Archives of the Philippines. As you can see here, most of the records that they have or in their holdings are about and written during the Spanish colonial era. So that's between 1571 until 1898. But however, most of the primary documents and resources are actually located, I think, in the Library of the Spanish East Indies. So that's somewhere located in Spain. I'm not sure if it's in Madrid or Barcelona, but for the most part, this is just a fraction on the primary resources about the Philippines. So as you can see here, this is a document about a specific province in the Philippines, and also it shows the activities by the Spanish authorities that held their position on that particular province. So as you can see, that is the church. So they made, I think that's a blueprint of a church, and also Port of Cebu. So that's an island in the Philippines. Actually, the first Spanish settlement in the Philippines during the 1500s.
It's in Cebu.
In Cebu. And of course, the third cultural agency that we took into consideration, and of course their marketing strategy as well, is the National Museum. So it has a plethora of collection, whether it may be in paleontology, fine arts as well. We have the paintings of our prominent Filipino painters there, as well as other sculptures, and of course anthropological sources, so primary sources as well about the Philippines. Okay, so moving on, it is very important. We're actually talking about marketing. How is it important to market our collections, our respective resources in terms of our own people as well, in order to communicate with them, in order to provide a significant human experience. But before doing so, let's have a quick again, a history lesson about the root of that particular and directed and targeted marketing strategy. So first, Filipinization became a term during the 1900s, wherein, I mentioned earlier, we've been governed by the United States. So there was a qualm for a reformation in the government and legal system in the Philippines in order to incorporate Filipinos as a government employee. So therefore, originally Filipinization was a political movement to incorporate Filipinos in the American insular government. However, it eventually became a cultural and social movement as well. So as you can see here, it is important that Filipinization of library service should be enacted. This is part of the national development of the country. So what we're doing here is a Filipinization of a library service. All right, so moving on, these are our methods. So I'll turn on my mic to my co-author, Eunice.
Hi, hello. Actually, just a short story. We actually came up with this paper because we firmly believe that if you have a quality service or library service, but you don't have a strong marketing arm, it would be somehow, I would not say useless, but if you can promote your services, then what's the use of your quality service, right? So I think you all agree on that. So in this study, we had, of course, we used a qualitative method on this one because we had an interview with the different Filipiniana librarians that work in the section. And then we also had analysis of the annual reports over the years. And we suggested that having a basic visual identity guide would be useful because it would at least help the librarians in marketing their own collection. So I'm sure that you're also using social media to promote your libraries. In UP, we use TikTok to promote our services, our databases, and we think it's useful because a lot of our users are following us there, and then they're also commenting and reacting on our videos, especially that all of our videos are created and made by all of the librarians. We are not outsourcing staff to create the videos. Instead, all of the staff are using their own skills in order to create such a video. So if you have TikToks in your libraries, please follow us on TikTok. It's at UPD Library. Okay, so we had an interview with the librarians. We had questions on the following aspects. Of course, about the marketing strategies of the UPFI books over the years. We also had discussion about their involvement in the marketing strategies, the staffing, of course, and then, of course, what is the future of the section and the visual identity guide for the section. So these are the statements that they shared on the discussions that we had. Aside from the interviews, we also had analysis of the current state of their marketing. You will see here that we have incorporated here the picture of the page or the FB page of the section. It's just small, but it has only 1.8K followers as compared to the followers of the official FB page of the library, which I think it has around 46,000 followers. And then majority of the followers of these sections are all librarians. So so that's what we want to do in this paper. We want to reach the users because this is really what we do. We market the collection for the users. And then you will also see later that a lot of posts that they do in this page are also liked by the librarians. So within the section, they like their own posts. So I think you would also agree on that. Sometimes we do a lot of editing and stuff. We spend a lot of days and weeks creating videos, and then you're just going to receive likes from your own colleagues. So yeah, that's very frustrating, but that's the reality. And then so this is the marketing strategies of the UPFI over the years. Of course, they have their own social media account, except that they only have Facebook page. And then informant A, or one of the informants, have shared that in his time, displays and exhibits were very comprehensive. So there were a lot of exhibits about Japanese occupations, Spanish records, American periods, of course, national artists, and the diversity of the Philippine languages. So they are showcased in the building. I think it's just when you enter the library, the exhibit is already there. So of course, the users would check the exhibit before going to the respective sections or concerned sections that they want to visit. All right, so we also incorporate, or we also place here that despite these modern changes in the library marketing of the UPFI books, it is worth mentioning that Informant A believes that the best form of library marketing is how you present yourselves towards the community. So if you have a very visual appealing publication materials, but you project yourselves as very kind of librarian, then definitely the users would be like they have a negative experience over the library. So it's really I would agree on this statement he shared, that it's really about the librarians as well when you market your library. And then these are the involvement of the informants in the marketing strategies. So these are just some of the samples that they do for the marketing of their collection. So this informant E and F stated that when the section transitioned to full social media marketing, part of their tasks are to create and design publication materials. So these are the materials that I was talking a while ago, that they would spend days creating publication materials like that, and then it would only be liked by one of their bosses or one of their colleagues. So that's sad, but again, that's the reality. And then in terms of staffing, all of the informants agreed that one factor to be considered if you want to strengthen or give focus on your marketing arm, you have to have a number of staff, or you have to at least consider placing staff who are trained in creating publication materials. So this section is very busy. A lot of students from the campus or the university are coming to visit this section to request for books. There are also outside researchers and foreign researchers, of course. They come here, or they come to the section to request for materials. So it's really a reason to strengthen the marketing, because they are representing not just the section, not just the library, but the university as well. So we really have to revamp, or at least step up their marketing strategy or their marketing designs. So thus, training of librarians is a must. And then it is also worth mentioning that Informant A added that an effective Filipiniana librarian should have at least a background in the Philippine history, because what if a user comes up to you and then he would ask something about the, what do you call it, Malolos
Republic, yeah.
See, like that, then what would you tell him, right? So, and then looking ahead, of course, the concept of branding and visual identity was shared in this interview, because some of the informants are not fully aware of what is visual identity. So informants agreed that the section should have a consistent branding and a uniform design, so that when a user sees or looks at a publication material, he would already think, that's the Filipiniana section of UP Diliman. And then the branding would be associated with the section, just like how we associate the letter yellow M in the red square. That's McDonald's, right? So that's what we want to do in the marketing section of the university library. We want our users to think of the section when we see, or when they see a publication material or a logo. All right, so some of the informants are basically, they are aware of the basics of visual identity guide. However, as Informant F has mentioned, the section or even the library does not follow one as of this writing. So in this study, we suggested that the section or the library at least should have a visual identity guide to follow, so that there will be consistency and uniformity in the promoting of the section or the collection. So this is the social media engagements of the section or the Filipiniana book section. In the last 6 years, they have only produced 75 posts and they receive 438 reactions. I think 80% of the reactions are from the librarians. So we really have to step up their marketing game so as to reach the users. And yes, so these are the unique reactions and share in their UPFA posts. And you will see that there are months or there are years that there are really no reactions at all. So even though they have posted something about their new acquisitions or new services, I guess no one even likes the post. Or probably even a colleague doesn't like the post. So yes. So thus, the researchers suggest that we should really revamp the marketing arm or marketing design or probably the promotional tools that they use so that we can have at least 50 likes from the users or just a few likes from the users, right? Instead of having none. So we suggested that having at least basic skills in designing publication and promotional materials is a must for librarians. So I think the librarians nowadays should also undergo training about this kind of skills or tasks because it's really part of our job to promote our collection. And as mentioned by AB a while ago, the 3 national agencies in the Philippines are using these logos, and you will see that they have a character or a unique character in their logos. This is what we call baybayin. It's an ancient writing in the Philippines. Currently, we're not using it. It did not die, but it's unfortunate that the modern Filipinos does not use baybayin anymore. But the logos or the national agencies are using baybayin to incorporate the Filipinization in their agencies. So we propose or we suggest a logo like this for the UPFI books. We have incorporated baybayin on the first line. This is just a sample that the librarians can modify. So to discuss baybayin, the baybayin that we place on the top part of the logo is kaalaman or knowledge in English. This is also what they used in some of the services in the library, because if you're going to research on the services that or the systems that we have in the library, the University Library Diliman, we are using Filipino terms to promote our systems. So for our in-house system, we have Tuklas or to discover, and then Buklod,
which is to
Buklod is to
come together.
To come together. So so you will see that we are doing basic Filipinization in our library by incorporating our own language in our systems. So we also incorporated the use of the official colors of the university, such as the maroon and the forest green. And you will see that there is a sun there in letter O. It may look like I just placed race there, but the Philippines does have race in the 8 race in the flag, which is the provinces in the Philippines. All right. So this is just a sample. This is what this is what we want to share to them that they can reuse for their publication materials. You will see in the bottom that we have incorporated local elements. These are the local destinations in the Philippines. So it's very Filipinized. It's very Philippines. And this is what we want to achieve in marketing the section. And this is also a sample. They can use this if they have presentations for their library orientations. And you will see that we have all incorporated the logo, the baybayin in here. And we only have minimal colors or minimum a basic design. So less is more. That's the design nowadays, right? And again, a sample, if they have service advisory announcements or they have something to announce about their services, they can use this kind of template. So again, we have used the same patterns or the same designs except that they are just placed in a different locations. So that's what we're trying to say when we speak of consistency and uniformity. And so that is the branding that we want to achieve for the section. So for our conclusion, so the implementation of visual identity guide will ensure the highest level of continuity and consistency among the librarians. So even though the librarians will change, for example, in a few years, the librarians will leave the section, the next librarian would immediately know how to market the sections because they already have the guide. And then, apart from creating an identity for the organization that contains Filipiniana materials, this can be considered a long-term solution and a marketing strategy because it's already documented. So, to conclude, the helm of a Filipinized library is at the hands of a Filipiniana librarian that can effectively and efficiently promote the Filipiniana resources among its users so that they can get in touch with the past and the present. So this is our paper. Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a couple minutes if anybody has any questions for our speakers.
If you have any questions? Or are you willing to visit the Library of the Philippines soon? You have any questions?
We'll have time after the next session as well. So if they come to you, sometimes it takes a minute.
All right, yeah.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I guess it's a technically a 2-minute break.
That's about the library tools you were going to take. It is not so easy to change the We had a tour at 10:30, 20 people, one at 11, and one at 1:30. So we should cancel the other hours for 1:11 or 13. So I think we can split up into and if it's possible that you have perhaps 11 and
Yeah, that's right. This,
can I sent you a slide.
yeah.
PowerPoint. Can you use that instead? I emailed it to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
How are you?
to me,
To you, yeah. I just emailed it to you this morning.
this
That one
one,
right there, yeah. Well,
Hmm?
no, it's not. Just this morning. Though.
yeah. Maybe
Is your
Christina,
no to you too?
to,
Can you refresh? Can you refresh your email?
All right, everyone, we have a little complication.
yesterday,
It's a minor 15.
I have not yet received.
Okay.
Christina said to, okay,
And that's
I have installed
we're at 10:30 of the.
This one.
bell tower.
Hang on a minute.
Like get your high heels on, people, we're exercising. And we can have 20 people go on that. And then the next one would be a little bit later. Now, who wants to go on to see the bell tower? Remember, it was a $10. Euros. Euros. For Europe, people, euros. Okay, now let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We can do one tour at 10:30. Okay, but that could be.
What's 10:40 now? Are we going now?
11 o'clock, we'll be downstairs and everybody will need pay for themselves, so we should be there. What are we gonna do about it? We're getting a free tour.
So Translated. You know an island, so that's it, we're done. It's new one, it's,
Yeah, new one. Yeah, this
can
one.
you click on that and see what it says? No. Can you go all the way? Go down. Oh, I think that's it. Keep going, keep going.
Five.
No, I don't think that's the name.
No, no. Okay. Nothing.
Oh,
It's okay.
no, that's not. I sent you a new one. Oh, good. I emailed that to you. Do you want to check your email again?
All right, so we're gonna.
I don't know. Receive.
It's not coming up.
Okay. Chris. Cecilia.
Yeah, maybe that's.
Yeah, so then we're gonna have, I guess Christina has
Okay.
some announcements as well, so finish
That's
up
the
the
one.
break.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you do that? Can I use that instead? Okay, thank you. All right, my dear, thank you. And you can delete the other one.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
How are you?
Let's go for the shop. You're welcome. I'm here all week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We need, have our one,
Very long. Let's see. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. There are many reasons to make you practice. Yeah, practice.
Too high. They just try to build up